In the meantime, we want to bring you another story related to Ukraine because the country was home to more than 80,000 foreign students in 2020. Nearly a quarter of those were from Africa. Some now are considering returning to Ukraine as they struggle to find somewhere to finish their cut-off studies. The BBC's Soraya Ali has been speaking to some of the Nigerian students considering returning to Ukraine, even though it's still at war, in order to finish their important studies. Soraya, thanks so much for joining us. What did the students tell you?
Well, for a lot of the students, as you said, some of them are even considering returning to Ukraine because they're struggling. That's the main takeaway. One year on from the war, and many thousands are still struggling to continue their studies, to find a safe place, a safe country to continue their studies, or a university that's willing to take them in, because a lot of the scholarships have been reserved for Ukrainian nationals. A lot of them are unable to continue in their home countries. So Nigeria, the Nigerian Medical Association last year in July came out and said that for those students who had returned home to Nigeria, they would no longer be accepting degrees awarded online from Ukrainian universities. So remote working has gone out of the window. They're unable to find a place at another university. And these are students, some of them who are just months away from graduating after spending years and maybe thousands of pounds, dollars, saving up for their degrees. So they're really struggling 1 year on.
How many have been affected?
It's difficult to say exact numbers of students, but as you said, Ukraine was home to around 80,000 foreign students from all over the world. Now, that's government data from 2020, so it's likely that the number was far higher. Nearly a quarter were from Africa. It's difficult to say how many stayed in Europe and continued. I know the International Organization for Migration has said that they've seen around 600,000 non-Ukrainian nationals enter neighboring European countries, but they said that data might also be flawed because some students have bounced around from country to country. It's difficult to say how many return to their home countries in Africa on repatriation flights as well, but we're talking thousands, if not tens of thousands.
And there's, of course, a more difficult angle to this. The fact that some students in your article say they felt that their Ukrainian peers escaping war had been welcomed with open arms, but third country nationals fleeing the same war, albeit African students, hadn't felt so lucky. Talk us through that.
So, yes, it's difficult because a lot of the students say that the scholarships, the programs, the things on offer are open to Ukrainian nationals. Now, that's been seen from the EU, which obviously they put out the Temporary Protection Directive, which was a law that essentially allows Ukrainians to enter neighbouring European countries or the countries within the EU, access the labour market, access education. Now, it's important to say that the EU has said that this is not dependent on anyone's race or nationality, but just the fact that they're not able to return to their home country. But grassroots organizations and charities working on the ground have said that the reality is the students and non-Ukrainian nationals who've been living in Ukraine for years and years have fallen through the bureaucratic cracks of all of this and are struggling with visa applications, tuition fees, and they're essentially facing additional hurdles that their Ukrainian peers have bypassed for various reasons.
Soraya Ali, thank you so much for joining us. Soraya's article is on the BBC website. I'm James Reynolds. This is